Ooh-wee. We are live on the tippy tie. What's going on? Guys, welcome back to Black Bear News. Welcome. Early chatters are in, even though my apologies for putting the live stream up, the post about it. I usually try to do an hour-ish before, sometimes even earlier. But today I was doing something I completely forgot to get the live stream going early. So my apologies. It probably will take up people a little bit more time to get in here. We're live on Rockfin. Urban Hermit says, hi, Kevin and the Rockfinauts. Send me Rockfinauts for Rockfinauts. Join me on Rockfin, please. I would love to see you on Rockfin and read your comments on Rockfin, ROKFIN.com. And they have a really cool tip feature on Rockfin. It's like a super chat. But the really cool thing about that is you can tip the video, and you don't have to tip while it's live streaming. You can tip anytime. Anytime you're watching any of my videos on Rockfin, you can tip. And Puff Adderall left me a $2 tip. It was a couple days ago, but I just wanted to throw that out there. Thank you, Puff. What did, I was looking at the chats. And Naz Manab said, I enjoyed calling people delusional for saying 2021 will be better. Yeah, you know, in my conversation, and that's funny. In my conversations with people, there's not a lot of hope. There's not a lot of hopium, right? You know, it's kind of like, well, you know, whenever things get, you know, cleared up, whenever generally the conversation steers towards things going back to normal. And it's kind of like yeah, I don't know, right? It's just, even from the most hope-filled people, generally hope-filled people, there's not a lot of hope. So that's interesting. And again, I don't like to, I don't know. I'm not embracing, or I'm not, you know, glorifying or happy about people being uncomfortable, but this is a time of great change. And this is probably a good time to get familiar with the feeling of discomfort. You know, I don't think, and I think a lot of other people are now starting to have that realization, like, I don't think we're going back to normal. So once you have that realization, and once you have that understanding, and maybe instead of pushing it out of your mind or pushing it out of your consciousness, maybe you can embrace it and go one more step after that, after embracing that things are not going to go back to normal. Well, what do you want to see the future, you know, what should the future look like? Which way should we go? What things in the future should we be aware of and be resistant to? What kind of landmines in our life or political sphere should we look out for? You know, if climate change is our future, and in reality it is, if climate change is our future, what are you going to do with the knowledge that things are going to get worse? What do you do with that knowledge? You know, hopium is one way to cope. Copium. Excuse me. Or maybe, you know, embracing the understanding and then going one step further. So what do I do? What do I do? How do I prepare? How do I embrace this future? How do I embrace this knowledge and maybe try to take some right action in the face of that? What do you do? I'm just putting questions out there. That's all. I'm just putting questions. Grateful Dan says, I think the only plans humans should be making now in the face of abrupt climate change is an exit plan for when 7.6 billion humans go through famine at the same time. Youch. That sounds not so nice, Grateful Dan. But I mean, yeah. Trish Kaiser says these are the good old days. Judy Truitt says La Nina brings us drought. El Nino promises floods. So it goes. Creative Experiment says we're going to get climate change Hitler soon. I don't know. I'd say there's a 50-50 chance. 50-50. There's a 50-50 chance that we might see a climate change Hitler. I hope not. Again, I have some hope that maybe we don't go that way, but we'll see. We are going to see, aren't we? Yeah, Gene, Yemen is getting a head start on famine on purpose from the United States. Indeed. Saying hello to my rock fanners, Kevin Shanholzer says in 25 years, people are going to be shamed for having kids. Shame. Man. That's really harsh. Urban Hermit says 25 years is a long time. Kevin Shanholzer also says be a prepper. I'm a prepper. Wouldn't you like to be a prepper too? Kevin Shanholzer also says the DC Mall is the US DMZ. Whoa. Yeah. No doubt. The demilitarized zone, also known as the DC Mall. Yeah. Yeah. What to do with all this knowledge? What do we do with this information? I told somebody yesterday, the more I assess the situation, the less I know about it. So there's that. Okay, let's go into some things. I believe everybody has seen this now. But we're going to talk about it. Greta Thunberg tweets out, 2020 was the hottest year ever recorded. NASA. The last 6 years have all been the hottest on record. We're in climate emergency, and the changes needed are still nowhere in sight. The only ones who can change that are us. Spread awareness. Be the change. And let's look at this article from The Guardian. 2020 was the hottest year on record. So much winning. NASA says, due to different methods, U.S. NOAA judged year as fractionally cooler than 2016, while the UK Met Office put 2020 in close second place. NASA says no. It was hotter. Last year was by a narrow margin the hottest ever on record, according to NASA. With the climate crisis stamping its mark on 2020 through soaring temperatures, enormous hurricanes, and unprecedented wildfires. The average global land and ocean temperature in 2020 was the highest ever measured. NASA announced on Thursday. Edging out the previous record set in 2016 by less than 1/10 of a degree. So it was the hottest, not by much, but does that really matter? Does it really matter? Due to the slightly different methods used, the U.S. National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration judged 2020 as fractionally cooler Again, does that matter whether it's fractionally cooler or fractionally hotter? In 2016, while the UK Met Office also put 2020 in a close second place. The European Union's Climate Observation Program puts the 2 years in a dead heat. Good pun there. Regardless of these minor differences, all the data sets again underlined the long-term heating up of the planet due to the burning of fossil fuels, deforestation, and other human activities. The world's 7 hottest years on record have now all occurred since 2014, with the 10 warmest all taking place in the last 15 years. There have now been 44 consecutive years where global temperatures have been above the 20th century average. Well, let me go back to the beginning of the paragraph. The world's 7 hottest years on record have now all occurred since 2014. How many years is that? Yeah. Pretty close to 7. So we're going to say pretty much it just gets hotter every year. And when I say pretty close to 7, that means 7. The world's 7 hottest years have now all occurred since 2014, which would make that all the last 7 years. Anyways, it's just funny that they wrote that sentence that way. Scientists say average temperatures will keep edging upwards due to the huge amount of greenhouse gases we are expelling into the atmosphere. This isn't the new normal, said Gavin Schmidt, director of NASA's Goddard Institute for Space Studies. This is a precursor of more to come. If you've been paying attention, if you've been playing at home, then you know what you know. And this is also frightening. The record or near record heat came despite the moderately cooling influence of La Nina, a periodic climate event. While the current La Nina event will likely end up affecting 2021 temperature more than 2020, it definitely had a cooling effect on the last quarter of the year. So without La Nina, we could have just been clearly in the lead for the hottest year ever. Zeke Hosfather, a climate scientist at Berkeley Earth, which found 2020 was narrowly the second hottest year on record, it suggests that we've added an equivalent of a permanent El Nino event worth of global warming in just the last 5 years. Well, you haven't seen nothing yet, Hosfather. In reference to the counterpart climate event that typically raises temperatures, records like this further reinforce the need to reduce our emissions sooner rather than later. The climate crisis is drastically altering environmental processes across the globe, as the scientific analysis of 2020 show. The annual average sea ice extent in the Arctic was at 3.93 million square miles, the joint smallest on record, tied with 2016. While oceans were exceptionally warm, NOAA said, with just 2 previous years recording hotter marine temperatures. Average annual snow cover for the Northern Hemisphere was the 4th lowest on record. Rising heat in the atmosphere and water is causing glaciers to melt, rising sea levels, as well as helping fuel larger and more destructive storms. The U.S., buffeted by an unprecedented Atlantic hurricane season in 2020, was hit with a record number of major disasters last year, costing tens of billions of dollars and resulting in several hundred deaths. Global warming won't necessarily increase overall tropical storm formation, but when we do get a storm, it's more likely to become stronger, said Jim Cosson, an atmospheric scientist at NOAA, and it's the strong ones that really matter. Interesting statement by Jim, because we saw a record number of storms. He says global warming won't necessarily increase formation, even though we just saw a record number of storms in the hottest year yet. So there's that. I love when scientists contradict science. Wildfires fueled by vegetation parched by prolonged heat ravaged huge areas of California and Australia last year. While the Arctic experienced astonishing temperatures well above average. This year has been a very striking example of what it's like to live under some of the most severe effects of climate change that we've been predicting, said Leslie Ott, a research meteorologist at NASA. The UK Met Office has already predicted that 2021 will also be among the hottest ever recorded, with the world now one step closer to the limit stipulated by the Paris Agreement, said Colin Maurice, senior scientist at the Met Office. Governments will meet later this year in Scotland for crucial UN talks aimed at building upon the Paris deal, which committed countries to avoiding a disastrous global temperature rise of 1.5 C from pre-industrial levels, which many indicators already show us that we are already at 1.5 C, and we read a thread yesterday saying that they already know that 2 or 4, between 2 and 3 or maybe even 4 C is already baked in. We've already emitted enough emissions for that. So how are we going to avoid? They're saying disastrous. 1.5 C is disastrous. We're already at 1.5 C. So what are we going to do about? What are we really going to do about this, guys? What's the? We got to lower emissions right now. Okay. But you're not telling people the truth. Please tell people the truth. Please tell people the truth. At least Antonio Guterres kind of says something true. We are headed for a catastrophic temperature rise of 3 to 5 C this century. Okay, that's true. But when he says this century, he, makes it seem like, sometime in the future. Warned Antonio Guterres, Secretary General of the UN, making peace with nature is the defining task. Making peace with nature is the defining task of the 21st century. It must be the top priority for everyone everywhere. So maybe, 3 to 5 C this century, But if people understand that at 3 C, the planet is probably, if not already uninhabitable, close to uninhabitable, you got to kind of let people know that too. Yeah. Well, the biosphere says there's no time for effing with non-believers of global heating, and its likely causes and or apparent attempts to stop it anymore. Andy the Gardener says climate disasters should be considered welcome negative feedbacks. Benito Sanchez says, I've prepped for 2021. I got a case of Tums stored away. Osama's on Rockfin. What's up, Osama? Sweetleaf is on Rockfin. Osama says 2020 was the warm-up act. Oh, you like my t-shirt, Sweetleaf? Thank you. For the Biosphere on Rockfin says, YouTube, how to make a rocket stove with simple bricks so you can cook when the electric grid fails. I've watched a few of those videos. Those are very informational, and yes, good suggestion. Go watch a few videos on how to make a rocket stove. You can cook with less energy, etc. Cindy Seeley, hello. Anyways, lots and lots of people were talking about this. Sam Carana weighed in on Facebook. I'm not going to read the Arctic news blog right now. I'm just giving the cliff notes off of Facebook from Sam Carana. NASA data shows that 2020 was the hottest year on record. High temperatures in 2020 hit Siberia and the Arctic Ocean hard. In the images, the temperature anomaly is compared to the 1951-1980 NASA's default baseline. So, and then there's that, and then there's the 1950 when we had 1950, when we had already triggered catastrophic feedbacks from climate change by 1950s. But who's counting? When using an earlier baseline, the data need to be adjusted. Further image shows a trending pointing at 0.31C adjustment for a 1900 baseline. So add 0.31C. Additional adjustment is needed when using a 1750 baseline, while it also makes sense to add further adjustments for higher polar anomalies and for air temperatures over oceans rather than sea surface temperatures. In total, a 0.78C adjustment seems appropriate, as has been applied in earlier analyses. Furthermore, we're currently in a La Nina, and we're in a low in the 11-year sunspot cycle. How's that solar minimum going for you guys? How's that ice age coming along? Ooh, so cold in here. By the way, my thermometer outside is almost touching 100 degrees, and it's January 15th. It's a nice day, beautiful day. My phone says that it's 81 degrees. However, my thermometer over here says it's 90. Well, no, actually, maybe not 100. Sorry, let me back that up. It's about 90, 95 on my thermometer out there, so. We'll just blame it on my very good eyesight, elderly eyesight. My good young old man eyesight, or something. Osama says, I really liked Oxygen. Oxygen was pretty cool. Nasman Abs says add 6C for 10,000 BC baseline. Okay. Kiro Hike says it's 77 degrees here. No, my thermometer is not in the sun, Poppy. It's on a wall that's the wall is probably warmer than the rest of, there's another thermometer in my garage that is actually more, closer to, what you would base your thermometer reading on. But if I'm going to go for, what does it feel like outdoors or in the sun or anywhere close to the sun, I look at my thermometer out here. That's what, we'll go with that's a feels like thermometer. Feels like 95. My thermometer on my phone says 81. Feels like 95. It's hot. Let's move on. This tweeted to me from Yellow Vest News AI. Yellow Vest is another good source of news on Twitter. Tweets me good articles, and they're always hidden behind one of those, this could be sensitive information things. I'm sorry they do that to you, Yellow Vest AI. It's really frustrating and unfortunate, but they always hide your posts underneath a sensitive information. Do you wish to proceed? So just talking about a drought in Turkey, y'all. But sensitive information and all that. Istanbul could run out of water in 45 days. Again, drought, wildfire, storms, ice melting, etc. Turkey drought. Istanbul could run out of water in 45 days. And how many times have we heard this story over the last few years of various places around the world about to run out of water? South Africa, Tanzania. Was it Tanzania? Few countries in Africa were running out of water as of last year or two. Water at critically low levels across Turkey after lack of rainfall leads to most severe drought in decades. Major cities across Turkey face running out of water in the next few months, with warnings Istanbul has less than 45 days of water left. Poor rainfall has led to the country's most severe drought in a decade and left the megacity of 17 million people with critically low levels of water, according to Turkey's Chamber of Chemical Engineers. The Ankara mayor, Mansur Yavaş, said earlier this month the capital had another 100. Izmir and Bursa, Turkey's next two biggest cities, are also struggling with dams that are about 36% and 24% full, respectively. And farmers in wheat-producing areas such as the Konya Plain and Edirne province on the border with Greece and Bulgaria are warning of crop failure. The dreaded crop failure. The acute lack of rainfall in the second half of 2020, approaching 50% year on year for November, led the Religious Affairs Directorate to instruct imams and their congregations to pray for rain last month. Turkey is a water-stressed country with just 1,346 cubic meters of water per capita per year and has faced several droughts since the 1980s due to a combination of popular growth, industrialization, urban sprawl, and climate change. Turkey has long prioritized economic growth over environmental concerns and remains the only G20 country, apart from the U.S., yet to ratify the 2015 Paris Agreement. Well, but how many other countries are prioritizing economic growth? I mean, almost. Are they doing it over environmental concerns? I don't know. How many other countries are doing that? Country after country after country, because it's all about economic growth. It's all about raising your standard of living. It's all about everybody having all the things that everybody else has. It's all about selling washing machines to developing countries. Washing machines and cars and iPhones and computers and everything. And, you know, some of those things are pretty great. But again, if everybody lived like the U.S. lives on the planet Earth, we would need 5 whole planet Earths to provide for the resources in order to do that. So that ain't going to happen. Ain't gonna happen. In the words of Nancy Pelosi, ain't gonna happen. You're gonna have to figure out something different. I know everybody thinks this is the way, you know, everybody's supposed to live, and it's, you know, also humanitarian, you know, safety and humanitarianism and good, you know, all that good stuff. And sure, all that is good stuff. Ain't gonna happen. You're gonna have to figure out something totally different. Again, if you realize the situation we are in, and you not just accept it. What's up, Iapo? How you doing? Iapo's in the chats. I thought I saw your name, and I was like, hold on a second. Greetings. Iapo's in the chats. We're gonna have Iapo on the show really soon. We've been talking about it. Like just life stuff is all over the place. So that's going to happen soon. Again, so if you're going to accept this reality into your consciousness and then, you know, really think about what the future looks like or what is in store for everyone, you know, you got to think about how it is we are going to reshape the ways in which we live. The things that we really think are necessary. What's really necessary? Not just for survival, but having a decent life, having a healthy, happy life. So let's go on. So Sam Karana, Turkey is in drought. And here is, man, I forgot who sent, I don't know if Chigozi sent this to me. I think Chigozi sent this to me. Heat refugees may be one solution to Western Sydney's climate emergency. Heat refugees, you say? Already happening. Ian Epondulon knows the heat waves well. The 31-year-old has lived in Western Sydney his entire life and often dreads the summer months. On the really sweltering days, the oral health therapist and his family often take refuge in an air-conditioned 24-hour shopping center in Blacktown. The family does have air conditioning at their Seven Hills home that they rent, but the cost of running it is prohibitive. The option to drive 15 minutes and get immediate relief is just a better option, Mr. Epondolin said. Walking through those doors, you just sigh. Last summer, Western Sydney residents sweated through 37 days over 35 degrees Celsius, and today the mercury is expected to reach 37 C in some areas. Heat is causing major headaches for Sydney's most populous local government area, Blacktown, which is trying to convince organizations to create heat refuges. A heat refuge is a cool zone with good air conditioning and facilities where the community can go on an extreme heat day to comfortably relax for hours at a time if they cannot go home. Our Lady of Lourdes, where Mr. Epondolin is an active member, has signed up, meaning they have offered the air-conditioned church and a nearby hall as venues that would become go-to places on high heat days for the local community to gather, with toilets, comfortable seating, and cold water close by. Now it's up to the council to find the places in this local government area where they can send people on those extreme hot days as heat refuges. If you guys remember that short story, it wasn't a short story, it was a novel, kind of a climate fiction, or near future climate science fiction, etc. I think that's a new category of literature, climate fiction. I was reading a little excerpt from this book about how in the near future, people in many countries will be forced to seek shelter from the heat in all kinds of ways. Probably, having generators in their homes, backup generators, having to spend hours in local rivers or bodies of water in order to, keep their bodies cool enough to not overheat. Welcome to the future. It's 2021. Basil Peterson says the Bedouin and Kalahari people know how to live in the desert. Osama says, seen in a local bookshop. Please note the dystopian fiction section has been moved to the current affairs. Thank you. Indeed. Judy Truitt says, dig underground rooms. My brother-in-law actually did that. Smart brother-in-law. Yeah. We're going to start seeing people with backhoes in their driveway, right? What you doing? Building a pool? Nope. Building an extra basement for when shit gets really hot. And you know the prepper crowd is already on top of that. Already on top of that. Prepper Trucker says abrupt climate change is a matter of fact. It doesn't really matter whether it's man-made or not. We will all have to deal with the consequences. Well, that's true, Prepper Trucker. But if you accept that it's man-made, you understand that the consequences are in our control somewhat. I don't know, or that we could stop doing the things. Like, I know a lot of people who might be climate change skeptics, but they totally understand that human beings are just whacking the shit out of the planet, right? We're just hack, right? That's what human beings are doing, hack. Whether you believe in the science of CO2 in the atmosphere causing heating, which is really simple to understand, yeah. But if you have questions about that, I think a lot of people understand that human beings are hacking the planet and poisoning the planet with chemicals, destroying ecosystems and food systems with chemicals and GMOs. And I think we can all agree that destruction is underfoot, is underway. But anyways. Let's see. All right, we're gonna move into a little bit of, I don't know, just a little bit of political discussion. And again, the purpose of my purpose of my political discussions is to kind of, I really would like to make people think about what's going on and hopefully add some, I'm trying to add understanding to the discussion. That's all. You may disagree with me. That's fine. Longer boats are coming to win us. That's a great song, Rich Diana. Yeah. Jacob Gordon says it does matter that it's man-made. Our drug habit has and is killing off our non-human neighbors. How big of a-holes are we? We are a-holes. We're totally, yeah. Totally. All right, where are we? Just trying to get it together. Oh, I saw this. Really great tweet right before I started the show. And Yellow Vest, friend of the show, Yellow Vest News AI, retweeted this. Why the F are we paying taxes if we get literally nothing in return? Oh, hey, that's a really awesome question. I can't tell whether this person is on the left or on the right. Her handle is revolt and destroy. Is she inciting violence? She's saying destroy. It's in her actual name. She's urging people to destroy. Is she inciting violence? She inciting violence. But what she's saying is right on. What she's saying is right on. And I think a lot of people feel this way. Somebody says our high taxes are high not because we're taking care of the nation. Our taxes are high because the rich have found ways to pass laws to get the rest of us to pay their taxes for them. Someone else tweets, as a European, I find America now disgusting. Your tax system allows your own countrymen to die in the streets, go hungry, revolt, and generally just let things rot to the point where they have to be redone. True. All of these things are true. Again, I can't tell whether these people are on the right or the left. I can't tell. Because it sounds like kind of how people feel in general, right? And looking at how pissed off people are at the system, at the establishment, at the corruption. We saw people in the streets over the summer, mainly over racist cops killing black people, mainly over extrajudicial killings. But, you know, people were out there for other reasons as well. I think there's just a general discontent on how the system is responding to the needs of the people. Could it be that people on both sides are are feeling the same discontent? Again, the other day I showed you many videos of people who were, you know, in the Trump thing, the melee or whatever you want to call it, at the Capitol. I didn't hear any of those people say white power, Zig Heil, N words. I didn't hear any of the every single one of those people were like, they don't represent us. They're not responding to our needs. They don't care about us. We wish they would do their jobs. Every single one of those people was saying that. And I'm not saying that there weren't racists in the rally. I'm not saying that there weren't racists there, but I'm just saying there are a lot of people who are just feel like they're just not represented. Their voices are not represented, so they're reaching out. They're looking for anything to represent them. And, you know, I don't know. And people can get real confused when they don't know what the hell is going on, when they feel like they're being lied to. If you wonder why there's climate deniers, I don't like climate deniers. I don't agree with them. I wish they would stop denying climate change. But if you wonder why there's climate deniers, just look at how people feel like they're being lied to, and then it's obvious. It's very easy for people to think, well, they're lying about everything. Everything is a lie. Actually got this story from Graham Elwood about Samantha Power being named to head of U.S. aid by Joe Biden. But Samantha Power is a serious warmonger. But she's dressing it up in humanitarianism, right? She's like, oh, we got to go in. We got to help the people of Yemen. We got to help the people of Syria. We've got to help the people of, let me see. This is from an article about Samantha Power, but the agenda of the humanitarian war hawks, seemed off the radar as the quagmires in Iraq and Afghanistan deepened. Bringing human rights and democracy to the Middle East with bombs and bayonets was increasingly seen as delusional folly. Foreign policy realism, not human rights, ascended in mainstream thinking. Power gained prominence as a national security strategist, nonetheless, writing a comprehensive 2007 New York Times review of current books on military doctrine. While carefully separating herself from President George Bush's policies in Iraq, she endorsed the Army and Marine Counterinsurgency Field Manual associated with General David Petraeus and co-produced with Power's close colleague, Sarah Sewell, at the Harvard Center for Human Rights. Power believed that counterinsurgency provided greater protection for civilians. Despite mounting evidence of Iraq's secret prisons, torture chambers, thousands of civilian casualties, and top-secret assassination operations carried out by Lieutenant General Stanley McChrystal in 2006. Described in Bob Woodward's The War Within, liberal interventionists cringed at the outcome in Iraq, but, without taking responsibility for, we got to go in there. Weapons of mass destruction, come on, if you're not with us, you're against us. Golly, we need all, the New York Times and, the Washington Post, everybody was like, go, let's go to Iraq, let's go. And then after it was found out all of that was a lie, and they were like, oh, well, we're sorry? No, we're not even sorry. Oops. Made a mistake there. Anyways, moving on. Power apparently thought the counterinsurgency doctrine was a step towards greater emphasis on human rights, right? Humanitarianism. We got to go in there. We need boots on the ground for humanitarianism. Then came this year's Arab awakening and the resurgence of Samantha Power. During the past year, Power was tasked by Obama to take part in a closed set of cross-agency meetings to study the dynamics of revolt, repression, and possible American responses to emerging crises in the failing autocracies of the Middle East. Now she was becoming cited as a frequent source of national security reports, mostly off the record. I wonder why. As the military intervention in Libya began, she was featured in the New York Times as one of the women officials lobbying for military action, along with Hillary Clinton and UN Ambassador Susan Rice. McClatchy's Washington Bureau headlined Power as the voice behind Obama's Libya action. There's a triad of warmongering women that have been involved in all this bullshit. That's just, if we get more women in the office, everything will be fine. Everything will be fine. It's all men are the problem. Okay. How about Sarah Palin? Fuck her, I'm sure a lot of people would say. Okay. Sounds pretty violent. Let me see. Yeah, anyway, so yeah, she's being named to how Samantha Power can restore U.S. aid's crucial role in U.S. foreign policy. You know what we really need, guys? Is some humanitarian action. I don't know if y'all knew this, that Dick Cheney, there's fact checkers out there saying, no, he didn't, he's not going to do that. CNN says Dick Cheney will be advising Biden on foreign policy. People are forgetting Cheney encouraged Biden to run for president. Well, there's that's an endorsement you really want, Dick Cheney. Do you know he was also endorsed by Dan Snyder, the former governor of Michigan, who is now being brought up on charges for the Flint water crisis? How many years ago was that? Seriously, people didn't know Cheney encouraged Biden to run. He says, go for it. I'd love to see Joe get in the race, Cheney said of Vice President Joe Biden's potential candidacy, because they're all the same people. They're all buddies. They all want the same things. Anyways. They're all buddies. I know that people really, really want to get into the whole oh, they're all crazy and all those people are fucking crazy and they're all white supremacists. Half the country is white supremacists. Really? What about Biden's racism? Somebody asked me, or somebody was saying, it's racism. It's just racism. Just follow the racism. I was like, okay. If it's all racism, how do you cure it? How do you fix it? Let's just assume it's all racism. What are you going to do about it? And then what are you going to do about Joe Biden's racism? Joe Biden was on a conference call with black leaders recently, and he was like, you people need to work with the Latinos because Latinos are going to be the majority of the country. And he was just talking wildly to black leaders on a conference call about oh, okay, it's the thing is our racism is okay, their racism is bad. We're not racist, but they're super racist. Joe Biden used to work with extremely racist segregationists. uh, back in the day. So yeah, but we forgot all about that because he was vice president with Obama. He's fine now. He's fine. He's taking the pill. He's taking the pill. He's cured of racism. Uh, Not saying that racism isn't a problem. Not saying that there's loads and loads of structural racism in this country. Not saying that there is. Yes, Brent McKinney, Bird, right. Lastly, I want to play this clip from Chris Hayes on Jimmy Dore. And hold on, if I can find it. Here we go. Good little section from Chris Hayes.
In fact, there is no left in America.
This is Ralph Nader. I'm very close to Ralph and was actually a speechwriter when he ran. But Ralph understands corporate America, I think, probably better than any other American, has been fighting corporate power longer and with more integrity than any other American. And Ralph wrote, I think, 24 pieces of legislation, very important pieces. Remember, Ralph, by the way, organized the first Earth Day, but he wrote the Mine and Safety Act, the Clean Water Act, was instrumental in OSHA, all this kind of stuff. But he said, we got it pushed through by the liberal wing of the Democratic Party. And then, especially under Clinton, with Tony Coelho and others, we saw that liberal wing decimated because they served corporate power until finally, by the time Clinton and Gore were in power, Ralph had no allies at all within.
He's saying, this is kind of what I was saying about Lord Hughes' video the other day. He's talking about, well, it's all about the right wing, military industrial complex, corporate power. No, that is not a good analysis of the situation. They both are now beholden. Both parties are beholden to the corporations. Both are beholden to a fascist state. There is no left, as Jimmy Dore said at the top of this video.
He couldn't pass any piece of major consumer legislation. It was finished. And so that entire process, John Ralston Saul, the great Canadian philosopher, I think correctly calls it a corporate coup d'etat in slow motion. It's over. It's finished. And Biden is going to serve the corporate state. That's why he was selected. And that's why they were never going to allow Bernie.
Selected. Nice choice of word there, Chris Hayes. Selected, not elected.
And then remember all the big donors of the Democratic Party, Lloyd Blankfein, and they were all quoted by name in the New York Times, saying that if somehow Bernie was the nominee, they were all going to vote for Trump.
True story. True story. Time after time after time on CNN and MSNBC. This is interesting because people want to talk about how some people go on Fox News. Oh, Jimmy Dore was on Fox News. Tulsi Gabbard went on Fox News. Bernie Sanders did a Fox News town hall. People want to, point at that, being like a bad thing. Oh, they were going to go talk to the other side. But literally on CNN and MSNBC, they had people coming on saying like, we can't have this Bernie Sanders guy. We can't have this guy. We'll vote for Trump if it's Bernie Sanders. Nancy Pelosi passed all of, the military budgets for Donald Trump. And when Donald Trump said he was going to veto the military budget over $2,000 checks, they were like, it was just mayhem. Oh my God, how dare you do this? You crazy person. Oh, Hedges, I'm sorry. Did I say Hayes? Sorry, D-Truth. I did say, because I was looking at Chris Hayes. Not Chris Hayes. Oh, now I'm getting the totally wrong person. I was looking at Keith Hayes in the chats while I was saying that, and I said Chris Hayes. Chris Hedges. I know who Chris Hedges is. Yeah, They were not. They were more concerned with Bernie Sanders than they were with Trump. And again, and again, let me put this. We'll watch the rest of this for a second. Watch the rest of this for a second.
So this whole least worst mantra, it doesn't mean anything for them. It's only used to corral us. So yeah, I mean, the left is. I hesitate to use the word left because.
Okay, that's the end of that. The least worst mantra is just used to corral us and to pit people against each other. To pit people against each other. To pit people who would otherwise have the same concerns against each other. And again, if it's all racism, it's just racism. Okay. Fine. I'll go with you on that. I'll go with you down that road. It's all racism. Okay. So what do you do about that? How do you fix that? You're just going to demonize an entire movement as racist, or you're just going to call them very bad people, or you're going to fire everybody? Are you going to outcast everybody? Are you going to disassociate yourself from everybody? Are you going to unfriend everybody? Are you going to kick people out of your family? Half the country? Is that how you're going to fix it? Do you think that's going to fix it? Do you think that's going to make people less racist? and on top of that, people, there are people that follow Trump that a lot of people follow Trump. They're like, they don't think they're racist. They don't think they're racist. If you call somebody who thinks they're not racist a racist, do you think you're gonna make them suddenly wake up and go, oh, I guess I was racist? Or do you think you're just gonna piss them off and make them actually more racist? I don't know. Ken Lundgren, anti-racism does fight racism more or less. I don't know. Really? Does it? What is anti-racism anyways? What is it? Can you describe it to me, Ken Lundgren? Tell me what anti-racism is. Stop being racist. Is that what you're saying? Just tell people to stop being racist? Is that how it works? I'm not saying that people shouldn't stop being racist. You should try to stop being racist. Seriously. Stop being fucking racist. Yes. But the thing is if you're going to, how are you going to do that? Are you going to, I don't know, are you going to shame people? Are you going to make people just very bad people? Are you going to unpeople people? What are you going to do? And then again, how are you going to address the racism on the liberal side? Because liberals are racist. All the Karens, all the Karen videos that came out, all the Karens that called cops on black men or black people, they're all Democrat. All those people are Democrats. They're not conservatives. They're not Trumpers. They're people that are all voting for Biden. But they're liberals. So what are you going to do? How are you going to cure all, I'm down for the cause. I think we should do that. I think we should totally do that. I'm just saying, how are you going to do it in a way that is actually effective? How are you going to do it in a way that's actually communicative and not? Ken Lundgren, white supremacists think they're not racist, but heroes of their own kind. Yeah, I know, but you're just, I don't. You didn't really answer my question, for one. And maybe white supremacists do think that. I'm sure that they do. Jacob Gordon, humans are the only race I see. There you go. Boulder Up Lamppost says name and shame. Is that, again, I don't know if you're being funny or not, but I'm just saying it's a question I have. How do you fix racism? I think it's a legitimate question. I'm not saying it's okay to be racist. I'm not saying just let racists be racist, or I'm not saying any of that. I'm not saying it's not a problem. I'm not saying any of that. I'm just saying, how do you fix racism? I Am Sweetleaf says fix racism by ending capitalism. Closer to the answer, I think. Shaming on a scale never seen. You know, I don't know. Anyways, guys, we could really go deep on this subject, but there's also the reality that like so many people in this country have mixed families, and there are a lot of interracial families and a lot of mixed kids in this country. More and more and more every day. People, everybody's kind of, again, when I played those videos of people at the Trump rally, there were quite a few black people in the rallies. There were, there are quite a few people of different races and different ethnicities that are in the Trump thing. How can you call all of them racist? They're all confused. They're all disturbed. They're all insane. They're all white supremacists. It just gets really murky. That whole thing gets really, really murky. Rhonda Boy says the impeachment is just a backdoor pardon. I agree with you, Rhonda. I think Trump is going to skate away. I totally agree. Because you know why? Because Trump is an elite. Trump is a part of the club. He's in the club. They're not going to... Maybe they'll impeach him. Maybe they'll actually impeach him, but he's not going to see jail time. He's not going to see any, they've already said something about Biden should pardon him. Some people were suggesting Biden should pardon him. Yeah, whatever's going to happen over the next couple of months is going to happen. And then they'll be like, all right, Trump's back in the club. Come on in, Trump. It's fine. You're a little weird there. Had us a little nervous there, but come on. Once the Senate has found him not guilty, he cannot be charged in federal court. Double jeopardy is unconstitutional. I like that take, Rhonda Boy. And I think you're actually right. Ken Lundgren, okay, sure, I agree with you. We should become aware of our incipient racism and how we enjoy white privilege to effectively compose an anti-racist demeanor and strategy. Yes, but the thing is that it starts to get a little convoluted when you start talking about like, racism as a concept or whiteness is a construct and like blackness is when you start like getting into this like kind of higher education, like this like college institutional kind of like when things get really like too convoluted for people to understand is what I'm saying. When you start, talking about, white privilege and like a lot of people are like, you lost me. I don't care. I'm just like, there's a lot of people out there that are just like, all right, are you treating me like shit or are you not? Are you, I agree with everything you're saying, but I'm just saying like, it's getting a little heady. And it is mostly too heady for people, the average person to be like, I don't care about this. I need a job. I need some food. I need to, feel happy with my family. And I like who I like. And I want to have sex with who I want to have sex with. And, Kuro Hike, socioeconomic competition and ignorance leads to racism every time because it's about class warfare. Indeed. That too. It's a way more nuanced discussion, I think. Than that. But I'm not saying that there aren't white supremacists who have found a voice in Trump and or the Trump movement, that is also true. Again, it's even for people on the left, they don't really want to think, Ken Lundgren, to get back to your statement. People on the left don't want to be bothered with thinking deeply about anything. They just, they're just racist and they're all bad people. Like, that's as far as they want to go. They don't want to go like, why are they racist, or are they really racist, or how racist are they, or what are they what are the what are the things that have led to people feeling this way? I've seen different ideas on social media about like is actually racism is a mental emotional disorder, like, which implies that maybe it could be treated by therapy, which I actually totally agree with. To me, I think racism is an extension of somebody having misplaced anger, right? You want to be angry at somebody else for your situation, or you want, or maybe you're just, not a thoughtful person, but like, you can educate people from an early age about racism. I think that we've done that in this country, but that doesn't keep somebody from being racist. Again, looking at the factors and the things that go into what makes somebody racist is as valid as anything else, right? But that's too nuanced for a lot of people. Just want to be like, fuck you, fuck them. They really want to like, again, put everything into an easy basket and easy label, and just like, I'm good, you're bad, we don't know, I don't know. Am I racist? I don't know. Anyways. All right, guys, I've run out of time and probably run way too long. But thank you for hanging out with me as you do every day. Hopefully, nobody's really mad about the conversation. More conversation is better than no conversation or less conversation. Nope, I just think what I think, and that's that. Right. Jin Pi Gamma says racism equals derivative of speciesism equals permission for lack of empathy for others. Sure. And a lot of racism is taught, right? A lot of it is something people pick up, just by the culture around them. Again, like everything we do is like something that we've all been programmed to do, right? Everybody's programmed from birth to live the way we live and think the way we think. And so if you grow up in a racist family or in a racist society, right, you have this imprinting, and then you just whatever. All right, guys. Until tomorrow, peace.